Why did that stop? Okay, that's really weird. It's not playing. Oh, it's like a 3-second intro video. Something happened. Okay, I'm gonna just. So we're having a little bit of an audio hiccup. It looks like my intro video should be 30 seconds long, but it's 3 seconds long. So I'm just gonna hit it a few times until I see this live on LinkedIn. 3 seconds long again here. I'm going on my profile right now. Okay, looks like it's live. So good morning and welcome, or good afternoon and good evening, wherever you're watching from. The great thing about these videos is they do go into a podcast, and I do a lot of editing, and it's not a lot. I do some editing and post production. It's kind of like a headshot photographer. They do minor retouching on the photos. I do minor retouching on video streams. My name is Brenda Meller, and I just had a learning experience. I do not make mistakes, my friends. I have learning experiences, and what I always try to do is tell my audience what just happened. So if you're watching my video in the beginning, it's normally about 30 seconds long, and it counts you down from 30 to 0. And I apologize, Angel, I'm going to take us off script for just a second here. But when I click on the video, I'm going to do it again for my audience right now. Today, for whatever reason, I accidentally set it up as a 3-second video. So let me click, and you'll watch it count down from 3 and then stop. That's a bit too short. The challenge with these intro videos, and the reason a lot of people use the intro videos, is that there's a delay from the time that we go live on LinkedIn, or when I click on the go live button, to when the live stream actually picks up on LinkedIn. So for that reason, we use these intro videos. It helps to smooth the process out. So we're not looking in the second screen going, did the video start up yet, or what's going on? This has nothing to do with our topic today, the Agile Mindset Framework, or maybe it does. I'm not sure. I don't know. At any rate, Angel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Brenda.
Good. We're just living through tech hiccups. Is what we do. And
All good.
by the way, if anyone is watching this on LinkedIn right now, could you please do me a favor? Please do me a favor. Let me know by dropping a comment below. Just say hi, hello. You can tag someone in who might be interested in the topic, but just give me a hi or a hey if you could. And that way I know the live stream is actually picking up and working, because I'm a little bit hesitant. Thanks, because my tech already hiccuped once this morning. User error. But I do want to make sure that the live stream is picking up loud and clear. And while we're waiting for those comments to come in, Angel, I know that you and I was looking at our LinkedIn messaging exchanges, and I noticed that we originally connected, I think it was back in 2019. We were both part of the Booked and Paid to Speak program that's offered through Grant Baldwin. And I don't think we'd ever actually had a conversation up until this year. And I know just a little bit about you. I know you're a speaker, but why don't you take a few minutes and tell us a bit about you and your business?
Absolutely. So I'm tech. My background is tech. So 20 years in tech. Hi, David. Thanks for letting us know we're live. Yeah, 20 years in tech. And in that time, you can imagine I've done a lot of teaching and training when it comes to software and products. And that just lent itself really nicely into training others on process improvements and how they can be more effective. And that led me to really own my position in terms of where I was at in tech, being the only female, the only African American female, oftentimes at the table. So as I started sharing my experiences and get more personal, that led to a lot more, think about it, women's training groups, women's ERGs, what they call employee resource groups. So talking a lot to women's groups that are in predominantly male dominated industries. And that's how I ended up joining Book and Paid to Speak.
Awesome. So great to hear about the industry background leading you. And are you self-employed today, or do you work for a company and doing some speaking on the side?
I am wearing all the hats,
All the
literally
hats.
all the hats.
Awesome.
So consulting with, partnered with another organization as well as my own, as well as speaking, and how that came to be is, Brenda, I had a pandemic baby, but
Aw.
it was a book. It was a book. And it was called Dents in the Ceiling, Tools Women and Allies Need to Break Through.
There over your shoulder. I need to point, like,
There we
gesture
go.
thusly.
Yeah,
There it
there we
is.
go.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So Dents in the Ceiling launched in June of 2021. And the community just I mean, they took it, right? Really supported. So that's really launched the speaking and training and consulting group, because obviously 21 through the last couple of years, lots of talk around how do we build inclusion, how do we foster an inclusive workplace. So that kind of transitioned me into there, and I then built through partnerships a consortium of coaches, consultants, and
Right.
professional speakers, and we all band together, and we're trying to, Brenda, leave the workplace better in which we entered it.
That's great. It's like you're what's that expression? Be the change you wish to see in the
Yeah.
world. You're doing it. You're doing
Yeah.
the thing right now. That's awesome to hear. And tell us the name of that organization. And I might be jumping ahead a little bit too. We're going to talk about this again at the end, but tell us the name of the organization in case there's someone that's watching this that's interested in learning more or joining.
Yes. So, in the event that you are a consultant or a professional speaker, particularly around workplace inclusion or leadership development, if you're DISC certified or Colby certified, any Agile certified, it's Angels Speaking Inc. And it's a consortium of coaches and consultants. So, please reach out on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you.
I think we just froze up for a second. I love technology. We're hiccuping a bit here. Hold on a second. It seems like either StreamYard is hiccuping or LinkedIn hiccuped because you froze for a second, then I froze for a second.
Yeah,
Hey, we just kind of roll with it, Angel. We just go with it and we wait for the hiccups to stop
that's what we
hiccuping and
do.
then we'll move on.
Yep.
All right. And this happens when you are a coach, consultant, speaker. Sometimes you experience these technical hiccups, and sometimes they even happen when you're live and on stage. The lighting goes off or the microphone
The
stops
microphone goes
working.
out. Yes, that happened to me. I was speaking and the microphone completely went out, and it was a room full of people. So I had to like project my voice out, and it was, oh, by the end of that night my voice was sore. I didn't have a voice the next day.
Yeah. But we just roll with it. So today we're talking about, and I think this might be a perfect topic for all the things that are happening in unintentional. We're here today to talk about the Agile Mindset Framework, a four-step process. And in the pre-show, I said to you, Angel, I said this is a great topic. I said because I know nothing about this. I
Okay.
why don't we start with we'll try to get this. Tell us a bit about what is the Agile Mindset Framework. What does that mean?
Yes. So for those of my techies out there, or those that are in project management, you are very much familiar with the agile project management process. And what we've done is just distill that down to its base principles, right? Think of it in terms of collaboration, high communication, really thinking about the highest value that you can bring to your organization. So we've taken that process and really applied it to just about anything. So the four steps are: one, make a list. Just do a brain dump. Make a list of everything that you need to do that you think is pertinent, right, to the problem that you're trying to solve at that point. Just make a list. Now, step two, that's the hardest step, Brenda. Step two is prioritize the list. And when I tell you everything is number one, for most people, everything is number one. It is so hard. But once you have that prioritized list based on value, right, the highest value, step three is simply time box the work. Okay. Now, this is important. You don't want the time to be too long. On average, 2 weeks, a 2 weeks time box to get something done. Okay. And then step four, and this is the one that people like to skip over because it sounds a little easy and a little soft, but this is where the magic is, Brenda. Step four is retrospective or reflect. Just say reflect, right? That just means literally look back. Look back at the
Mhm.
last 2 weeks. How did it go? Ask yourself what worked well, what
Mhm.
didn't, Do we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or are there pieces and parts that worked, but we just need to course correct? We just need to change a little bit. And then you do it all over again. You just repeat. You look at that list again, you reprioritize it because some stuff is off the list now. And then you do another 2 weeks, and then you reflect back. And my reflections usually take place on like a Friday afternoon. I usually try to set aside Fridays from 1 to 1:30. It doesn't have to be long. I mean, we're talking 15 minutes, right? This isn't a time consuming 4-step process by any stretch.
Is this something that can be used for any project, problem? Tell us about like where could we apply this?
Brenda, have applied this to just about everything you can think of. Back in 2018, I was on my health kick, right? Because I had just had 2 kids, and I was really trying to get back my muscle strength and get back into shape. I had had a C-section, so everything was like all soft and mushy. And I was like, I got
Yep.
to get my strength back. I got to lose weight. How am I going to do this? And it was so overwhelming, right? I'm like, how am I going to lose 20, 25 pounds over the next couple of months, right? And because, of course, we all by the summertime want to get back into a swimsuit and look good on the beach,
Oh my
right?
gosh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've got like a 3-month window here, and I'm freaking out. Like, how am I going to lose this weight? And then I had the aha moment to say, I'm just going to agile this thing. So I created a list of all the different little things I could do to help with weight loss. How I'm going to change my shopping habits, how I'm going to change my eating habits, exercise. And then I time blocked everything of when I was going to go grocery shopping. I'm going to do meal prep on Sunday. I'm going to exercise 3 days a week for 45 minutes, do weightlifting on Tuesdays, Thursday. I had it all blocked out. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, this is a complete change, right? I've got 2 kids,
Two
um,
kids, right? Yeah.
working full time. How am
Oh
I
my
going to
gosh.
completely change all this? I really did not know if I was going to be able to do it in that too. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give myself 2 weeks. I'm just going to try it.
Yep.
And we tried it. And then on Friday, that, second Friday, I was like, okay, I was a little too ambitious about how many days I was going to get to the Y, right? Or, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm going to meal prep on Sunday, and then I'm going to have to do it again maybe Wednesday, right? Because
Yeah.
I just had to course correct, change some things, and it worked. It worked. I was able to lose the weight, hit my goals. And then I was like,
Good.
well, if I can do this for weight loss, I can do this for other stuff too. And
Mhm.
Brenda, I applied it to writing my book. I applied it to getting those 2 kids through COVID and being a homeschool mom and
Oh
working
yeah.
full time. They had
Mhm.
they had a board of all their homework, and they would prioritize their work, what's important, what was due, and they would check it off. I had my little
Framework, right?
kindergartner check it off the list.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good. I want to, the topic today we're talking about. Let me pull this up on screen so folks can see the topic. It's the Agile framework. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, I think I'm going to pull us back to the wider view so we can see it up on screen here. The Agile
Yeah.
Mindset Framework, a 4-step process. So you've given us the 4-step process. Agile mindset. Break that down for this. What does that mean? Agile. I think about agility. Is that flexibility? Is that kind of what we're talking about here, or does it mean something different when we're talking about this process?
That is exactly what we're talking about. Being open, in
Mhm.
terms of being open to, I think you've probably heard, most people have heard of Carol Dweck's book, The Growth Mindset,
Mhm.
and the concept of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. 2 minutes in case you hadn't heard it. Essentially, fixed mindset individuals, and again, this is not right or wrong. It's just kind of your
Yeah.
proclivity, kind of which way you
An
lean.
approach, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
fixed mindset folks just believe that things are innate. Athletic ability, intelligence, right? They just think it kind of natural born leader is a fixed mindset concept. It just means kind of either you have it or you don't.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I tell everybody, think of American Idol. There's a lot of great singers up there that are phenomenal, but there's some that are just stand out because they just have that natural umph, right?
Yeah.
So those folks kind of fixed mindset. Agile or growth mindset, it just means that no, I can practice. No, I can learn something, practice a new skill, learning the violin, taking calculus, learning a new process. And if I have the right teacher, enough time, and some dedication, yes, I may not master it, but I can definitely improve. And that's all we're taught. All we really want is incremental improvement, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so yes, when we think agile, yes, we are thinking flexibility, we're thinking growth, we're thinking, hey, what's possible, and let's just try it. Very experimental approach to how problems get solved.
I love it. And when we were originally talking about having you come out on the show, I said my audience, I'm calling this show enthusiastically self-employed. It's sitting on LinkedIn, it's going on my YouTube, and later it'll be on the podcast. But the people that we're really talking to are people who are self-employed, I should say, coaches, consultants, speakers, and authors. And I said, does this type of an approach work for that audience? And you said absolutely, and I would have to agree. But do you want to expand upon that? How does that work with somebody who's self-employed?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's take. We'll just grab two folks here. Let's take if you're an author, right? Many of us get stuck or have writer's block, right? Or we have an idea, but it's such a massive undertaking because life is happening. You've got meetings, you've got family responsibilities. You may have fur babies to take care of. Life is
Right.
happening, and you have this great idea for a book, and all you have is the title, and you're like, where do I start? And I
Mhm.
just say, literally grab a blank piece of paper, or what I did was one of those whiteboards in the back, right? Got a big whiteboard off Amazon for like 20, $30, right? Get you some markers and just start doing a brain dump. Just think like, okay, I need to research. I need to, organize in chapters. I need to, whatever it is that you need to do in order to get that manuscript, right? To an editor, or if you're going to self publish on Amazon. So now that you've kind of got this brain dump, now you prioritize. Okay, what's the first thing? Well, the first thing is I probably need to research my topic, right? Especially if it's nonfiction, right? So you're like, okay, I need to get my references, that sort of thing. So let me
Yep.
research what other people have done. So you prioritize that. And
Mhm.
then you give yourself that 2 week time block. And if 2 weeks is too much, give yourself a week. If you're like 2 weeks is not enough, give yourself 3 weeks. There's no hard and fast rule, but you don't want
Yeah.
to give yourself too long. I really caution and recommend don't go past 4 weeks because,
Mhm.
again, life happens and you'll get distracted. So,
Yeah.
really just try out the gate the 2 week time block and see how it feels. And then you can adjust later. And then again, do a retrospect. This now, you're now building momentum, right? Because
Yeah.
now you've started. You've gotten past the hurdle. I've started. Now
Like
that you've
getting
got some
started
momentum,
part is the hardest
go.
part, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the hardest part. So yeah, so that's for authors. For those of us that are in consulting,
Mhm.
if you have multiple projects going on at one time and you're a
Yeah.
solopreneur, that can be overwhelming for sure, right? Yes. So
Yeah.
you're like, I've got clients and I've got staggered deadlines, and that middle period where you need to be working on two or three clients at the same time, or preparing for two or three
Mhm.
talks at the same time, which is what I'm doing right now this
Right?
week.
I'm like, yes, I think I've got like 3 I'm working on right now, but yeah.
Yes. So right now, behind my screen, I've got two screens up, and I've got one PowerPoint for
Yeah.
one talk and another PowerPoint for another talk on the
Yep.
same day, right? So you're in that crunch mode. So what I've been doing the last week is literally just time boxing myself. So
Have you?
I'm just going
Okay.
to give 45 minutes to this
There you go.
presentation. I'm going to go take a break, grab me
Mhm.
some tea,
Yep.
and do a little brain dump here. And then I'll write down the tweaks that I want to make to that presentation. And then I'll move
Mhm.
to the next presentation and do 45 minutes on that one. Write down the tweaks that I want to make, and then come back the next day and make those tweaks and changes.
I'll ask you a question. So you're doing multiple speaking presentations right now. Are they all the same topic and you're just tweaking and modifying, or are they 3 entirely different topics that you're doing?
Three entirely
Yeah.
different
That's
topics.
awesome. Yeah. But it's also a
I'm
lot of
like,
fun because you're pressing your brain and you're trying, and sometimes it gets, I don't want to say it gets boring, but it can be repetitive if you're doing the same topic to this group, the same topic to this. And as speakers, I think it's one of the talents that you develop over time. You get to the point where you're like, I could really talk about anything. I just need a framework to do
yeah,
it, right? But in this
yeah.
case, it's how do you actually build the presentation? And you're talking about using time boxes, that technique, right?
Yes. Yes, correct. Yeah. And we
Yeah.
always say if you've done like the ceiling breaker topic, that my signature one that I've morphed and changed four times over in the last probably 4 years.
Yeah.
It's different. The same framework, but now it's updated stats. I'll do a little bit more research to see what's the most current thing. I don't want to use
Sure.
2019 stats if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And now I can do like a compare too, which is pretty cool. I can say, hey, when I used to give this talk back in 2018, I was saying this. Now I'm saying
Yeah.
this because the needle's changed, has moved a little bit, or it's gotten worse, right? And then the different scenarios and examples have changed over the last few years too. Even if it's the same topic, that's again where you can kind of write down and put areas where you can refresh and then prioritize, right? You're like, no, I definitely want to keep this example, but maybe I can refresh here and prioritize what the impact to the audience will be.
Yeah. I mean, that's a true talent and a true skill, being able to grow and evolve your talks. And then I love the technique that you just said is, which is back when I was first talking about this in 2018, the data was saying X, Y, and Z. Now here we are in 2023 or coming into 2024. There's
Yes,
been some shifts. And I think it also helps to highlight your expertise, right? Because you're keeping a pulse on the market and what the
exactly.
trends are doing. Would you agree with
Yes.
that?
Yes, absolutely. 1000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the retrospective part is the easiest for us as speakers and consultants because we're constantly getting feedback from our customers, right? Those
Yeah.
those surveys come in from the conference, or those surveys come
Yeah.
in at the end of your talk, or we all now know to put up the QR code and leave me a review. And
Yeah.
those reviews, that feedback, even the immediate feedback that comes right verbally after you walk off stage or after you put the mic down and people come up to you and share how it's
Yeah.
impacted them, or hey, great delivery, or wow, you're so enthusiastic about this topic, it made me really want
Yeah.
to lean into it. That right there is feedback that you then go and think, and during your retrospective, and think, okay, how do I get more of that,
Mhm.
right? And then if you get something constructive where somebody's like, wow, you know what, that point you really said was really important, but you kind of rushed through it and I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Boom. That's feedback that I can go back and course correct for the next time I present.
Expand on it. There's so many gems you just dropped in there. Let me try to ask a
Okay.
few of them because I'm sure other people are listening. They're like, "Wait, what was that?" So you said you used a QR code for surveys at the end of your presentation. I'm familiar with QR codes. I think they're getting a lot more easy to use. You don't have to have a QR code reader. Now you can hold your camera up. But
Yep.
when you do that, are you using a specific site to collect the feedback? Is that QR code directing people to your website, or is there a tool that you're using, Angel, for that?
Great question.
Mhm.
I've played around honestly with a few different ones, like flow code is one.
Okay.
And what I found for me personally, the best for me, is I have a CRM,
Okay.
and I've created a lead capture within that CRM, and and now there's a QR code that goes to that lead capture. And so
Okay.
when anybody fills out their information, it literally goes directly into my CRM.
Okay, gotcha. So
Yeah.
is it in that case, were you directing people from the QR code to flow code and then the flow code information got imported to your CRM, or were you directing people to your website to do the survey?
I would it was going to flow code, and there
Okay.
was data that was there that I would have to suck out, and I was like, okay, do I use Zapier, or am I manually collecting this and trying to do
Yeah.
something with it? And it got a little
Yeah.
hairy there when you have quite a few people inputting information. So I was like, okay,
Sure. You want to get that.
let
Yeah.
me not do this. Let me try something that's a little bit easier and a little bit. So I'm sure for all our tech folks out there, there are smoother ways to get the data into your CRM. But the one that I've heard lately that everybody's talking about is Talkadot. Have you heard of this one?
I have. And are you a member of Innovation Women as well?
No.
So Bobby Carlton started a group, and I think there's some similarities to the group that you've created. She started a group because she saw there was a lack of women speakers, and a lot of conferences the men would say, we don't know any women who work in finance, and she's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
you want to bet?
Yeah.
And she created this, and it's not like a speakers bureau, but it's like a membership community.
Uh-huh.
And lately, and we do a Friday speaker friends call every week, and people have been talking about Talkadot, and I
Yeah.
have not looked into it, but have you used it yourself?
I have not. My one of my business partners has. She swears by it.
Okay.
I had used Vouch for about a year, and
Vouch.
the
Okay.
only reason why I personally love Vouch. Like
Mhm.
I'd be a proponent. The only issue with Vouch is that there are a ton of folks that are camera shy. So Vouch is you send them to a link, your face pops up and says, hey, thank you for leaving your survey. Let me know how my talk or my presentation went, blah, blah, blah. And then it literally prompts them through it. It pops up with questions. It asks them the questions, and all they have to do is respond to the question, but it's recording them on video. And
Video. I have not heard for this one. Yeah.
so many people are reluctant. I cannot tell you how many, I would say about half of the folks that I send a vouch will come back to me and say, hey, is there a way that I can just, is there a survey I can just
Text.
fill out?
Yeah.
Or I'll just send you an email with what I want to say, and then you do what you want with it.
Who wants to be on video? And then they're like,
Nobody
what are you
wants
going
to
to
be
do with
on
the
video.
video? Am I going to go on YouTube? Or I'm not going to be on like the internet, like I don't want that, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I like I said, I personally love it. I thought it was super user friendly and easy. I actually, and might I say, the
Yeah.
best customer service for a product that I have ever had. I mean,
Oh, really? That's good.
absolute top notch customer service.
Yeah.
I had a gentleman from Australia call me. It was like 8, 9 o'clock at night. It was probably who knows what time it was his time.
3 in the
And
morning for
he,
him, right?
right. And he spent a full like hour and a half
Wow.
setting me up, walking me through step by step how to set it up, taught me how to use it, gave me like code to use to embed in my website. I mean, super
Yeah.
friendly. Again, I cannot say enough great things about the product or the customer service. The only unfortunate part is folks just don't like to be on video.
Yeah, it's the user, but I love you're even giving me ideas like maybe we give them a couple ways like and here's if you want to do a video and here's if you just want to do a text response. Sometimes,
Yeah,
if you give people too many choices, it's like
that was my
they won't do
concern.
anything.
They won't do
You're right.
anything.
But I love the fact that you're asking for that feedback afterwards. And we started off today talking about, the Agile Mindset Framework, the four-step process, and you gave us so many great examples. But as speakers, we can't not talk shop because we're both speakers and we're starting to brainstorm. And that's part of the thing I love about my show is I can take us into some different directions and we can brainstorm. And when I hear things, I will always angel. I'm like, oh, that was a good point. Let's go into that a bit deeper.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do, if you're okay with it now, is let's
Okay.
bring our audience into the
Yes.
conversation.
Let's
And I
do
did
it.
put the ticker up on screen to comment below if you'd like to ask Angel a question or if you want to add your thoughts to the conversation. Maybe you have some thoughts about this four-step process that she was speaking about. Maybe you are also a speaker and you have some thoughts about the feedback collection process that we were going into some detail about or some other thoughts on there as well. But we want to invite you to come into the conversation. And Angel, I'm not sure if you knew this, but there's about a 30-second delay from the time I say to the audience, hey, drop your question below to the
Yes.
time that they hear it. And then it's another, 15, 30 seconds before they think of what question do I want to ask until it appears on screen. So right now I'm just buying some time.
Okay.
Yeah. While we are doing that, though, we did have some folks coming into comments, and I want to just share a few of those comments up on screen.
Oh, good.
David, do you know David, by the way? I'm not sure if he's a mutual connection or if he's following one or the other of us, but
We
David
will be
says that
now.
yeah, right? There you go. David, thank you so much for watching. David says the QR code tip is great. It's very satisfying at the end of the presentation to see the audience lift up their phones. And I love this
That's
point, Angel. I
true.
don't know if you do this too, but when I have something on screen that I want people to do, in addition to it saying it up on screen, I also announce it to the audience. So even though I'm giving you permission to say, hey, scan the QR code to leave me feedback. Did you love the presentation? Like, give me feedback now. I will also tell them, hey, behind me, we're going to do Q&A right now, but behind me up on screen is a QR code, or if they've got a handout in front of them with a QR code, I let them know, like, while we're doing Q&A, if you like the presentation, I'd really appreciate if you could go to my survey page and provide me some feedback. Go ahead and hold your phones up to do that now, or scan it in front of you. Do you do that too, or do you kind of just let people read and take it in? What's your
Oh
thoughts on
no,
that?
I was taught you have to give the audience instruction. If you
Yeah.
want them to raise their hand, you have to raise your hand too, like give them a visual
Like,
cue of what
demonstrate it, like,
to
raise your
do.
hand, right?
Everything you want them to do, you have to do it, demonstrate it. You take out your phone and hold up your phone to it, like, hey, this is how it
Hold up
works.
your phone,
Go
right?
right. Hold on, go to your camera. I mean, but you have to think too, like some folks aren't tech savvy. You have all types of generations in your, and at least I do in my audience, right?
Yeah,
So some folks live, eat, and breathe and sleep, and they're on this thing all the time, and they're taking their notes on it. Others are
right.
still pen and paper, and they're like, what do I do with the QR code again? So giving them instruction and visualizing, demonstrating what it is that you need them to do when you're up on stage is a
Yeah,
must. Yeah.
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 And I find like we as speakers were probably a bit more comfortable and apt to take pictures and to scan QR codes when we see them, even without being prompted, because it's
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
But it reminds me, and the analogy I like to use is when I was little, I was like painfully shy. And we would be playing outside with our friends in the middle of the summer, and we go to their house, and their mom would be like, "Do you girls want lemonade or popsicles?" And I would always, "No, thank you." Like, even though I wanted one, I was like, "No, thank you."
Oh,
And then they would ask like 2 or 3 times, and then my friend would eventually say, "Yes, I'll have a lemonade. Do you want one too?" And then I'd be like, "Okay,
yeah.
well, if you're having one, it's okay." So I feel like
Right.
sometimes our audience, if you're not as comfortable, to your point, holding up your phone and using your phone, you need to be told and even demonstrated, you showing them what it looks like. And even like what I was doing with the QR codes. Do you remember when they first came out, Angel? It was like back in like 2009,
It was
2010.
clunky. Yeah.
It
It
was
was not
clunky.
great.
You had to,
Yeah.
like, download the QR code
You did.
software,
That was the
and
bad part.
it was like, and people are like, "I'm not downloading it," and I'm like, "This is a." I remember thinking to myself, "This is bad. This is not gonna work," because as a marketer, I know you gotta make things easy for people,
And it was
and
not
too
easy.
many people weren't willing to download the additional it was like a hurdle. Like, the cool
Yeah.
people were doing it, but the masses, they were like, "Nope, too much
Nope.
work."
Not
But
doing
nowadays,
another
I don't know how
download.
they did this technology, but you hold your phone up
Yeah.
and it just
To the camera.
prompts up a little link on it, right? I wish we
Yeah.
had a code to put up on screen right now. We could demo. You don't have one on your board behind you, do you, by chance?
Oh no, I don't. I don't. I
Yeah.
think I kept one on my LinkedIn in the background of my LinkedIn. I think I still have. I'm
Oh,
I'm all
well,
about QR codes now. I have them printed and they're embedded in my presentations. They're everywhere.
let me, that's actually a perfect segue, and let me just pull that up on screen. I need to change out my banners here. When you're hosting, you're multitasking, and your brain is like, "Okay, I gotta do this and do that, and then I gotta show the screen." So what I'm doing right now is I'm gonna share the screen and then pull up Angel's profile so we can look at the QR code, and
Did I
you
say?
can
Oh, I did
also,
keep
for those
it.
of you that are in the audience, can practice what we just talked about. So
Yeah.
Angel, do you wanna tell them what they do if they're watching this on their
If they're
laptop and they have
watching.
their phone with them?
Yes, let's do this. Okay, let me do it. All right. So you get your phone here and you just go to camera, right? You just go to camera and you just point it at the screen and it'll say flowcode.com. And flowcode.com will come up. Give it a couple of seconds to churn because it's doing a couple of hops in the back end. And up will load a picture right into my lead capture page. And it'll say Angel speaking at the top there. You'll see a picture of me, like, actually speaking. That's actually a photo of me at the MPI event back in April. And then if you just scroll down, you'll see a little section there where you can fill out information, type in your name, info, what you might be interested in. Um, my major service offerings are of course, speaking, and then consulting, coming inside to organizations and training their middle managers on this very process through an inclusive and empathetic lens, right? So we actually, when we're time boxing work with middle managers, we're actually helping them create their agenda. They're actually, changing the way that they work in terms of how they do performance management, who they're mentoring, how to sponsor, like step by step. Here's how you identify somebody to sponsor and how you sponsor them. So we come alongside, and that can be a bridge program, so maybe about 3 months, or
Mm,
it can be a longer engagement where it's 6 to 9 months, where we're working with multiple departments and multiple managers and creating cohorts of managers to do this. Anything that we train them on, any education we give, we're following the 4-step process, right?
that's awesome.
Because
Yeah.
Brenda, I tell you what, leadership training, number one, it comes way too late for folks, especially in corporate.
Yeah.
And two, our HR departments and our chief diversity officer, or our chief our diversity offices, both of those departments are completely overloaded with,
Yeah.
process and policy, and just trying to stay up on all the different changing strategies that the organization has. So for them to actually practice and do, and instead of sending out, hey, managers, you need to make changes, hey, people, you need to make changes, they really
Right.
do need somebody to come alongside them and help them execute. And that's what
Guide
we
them
do
through
best.
that. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the third piece that I do is what we call the Strategic Advisory Mastermind. And
Okay.
so that's where we'll twice a year we'll bring in women who are kind of African American, Latina women, women of color that are at that mid level in their career, right? So think manager, and they're trying to get to director, or maybe their director trying to get to VP. That
Okay.
space in there, bringing them and creating a cohort and training them on executive presence, how to get
Okay.
feedback, how to find a sponsor and not be over mentored, because women are typically over mentored. So
Yeah, mentoring is good, but you need a sponsor, somebody from inside the organization who can help to pull you through and lead you through, right?
amen, Brenda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And we don't have enough of those, right? So yeah, yeah. So those are the three major service offerings that we have. So that's what that little code will send you to
Yeah,
if you're interested in any of those. And then, or you just, right, or you just connect with me via LinkedIn and we hop on a call and have a conversation about how we can help.
that's great. And I was trying to zoom in on the screen as you were talking because I wanted to show like in the middle of your QR code. I don't know if you all noticed this in the audience, but if you're watching this on video right now, she has the QR code and her logo, Angel Speaking, is in the middle of it, which is really great. And there's a couple different websites that you can use to
Yeah.
to do that process. Do you
Yeah.
know the name of the one that you're using that you used to create that one?
I believe it was flow code.
Flow code. Okay, it was
Yeah.
flow code, you said, because it
Yeah.
went to flow code now that
Yeah.
I'm asking the question, how
No,
silly was
it's
it?
okay. It's all right.
But if you're creating a QR code, I use another one called QR Code Monkey, which is just
Oh,
creating a QR code, uploading a logo into the middle of it. It's not affiliated with like a flow code or something like that, and it's free. There are some limitations I've heard, and I don't know how long the QR code lasts. So it's
ah,
better to use a paid service if you don't want to make sure that the QR code never breaks in the future. So some considerations there.
right.
But on
Excellent
that
point.
note, it was a perfect segue because usually what we do as we start to wrap up our conversation, I ask the question, and I mentioned this in our pre-show, like where could go people learn more about you? And I love this because they can go right to your LinkedIn profile, scan that code, fill out the survey, and set up the call. Or you also said they can go to your LinkedIn profile and connect with you. Now, I notice, Angel, I've got a trained eye. If I look at your
Okay.
profile, I notice you have the talks about and you have those hashtags at the top of your profile, which tells me that you've turned on creator mode. And for that reason, if there's someone who's watching the show right now who's interested in connecting with you, if they go to your profile, they're going to see follow instead of connect. So I'll just let them know if they want to connect with you. It sounds like you're open to connecting. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes,
So,
for sure.
but what they'll need to do from their view, I'm already connected with you, so it's not going to show up on screen. But if they
Yeah.
click on the more button from their view, from our audience, and you're not connected with Angel, you'll see an option underneath more, one of which will be either personalized invite or connect. And then what you'll want to do is just mention that you saw Angel on the interview. Just say, hey, I saw you talking to Brenda Meller. She'll
Yeah.
know because we haven't done a lot of these videos. I think this is the only one we've done. So she'll know where you
We'll
came
know who
from.
you are.
And anything anything else you want to add to that in terms of people reaching out to you?
Oh, that's it. I quite literally, which is shameful, Brenda, but I actually no, I think you have me beat. I always tell folks that I live on LinkedIn. Like I literally check it like 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
times a day. Like I literally roll over and I'm checking, right. But I think you've got me
There you
beat, so
go.
I
First
don't
thing
feel
to
so
go to.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And, I see some other folks. Sandra, I'm gonna be actually interviewing next week, so Sandra, thank you so much for
Oh,
watching.
nice.
She says she loves the idea of building cohorts of managers who feel supported. On that note, when you were describing that program, I was thinking, is the cohort something that you do for a company, or is it something that you offer and multiple companies will send their employees to it, or do you do both?
It's for a company. It's for
Okay,
a company.
gotcha.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So if a company, they'll usually do it for a department. For
Mhm.
example, we'll take the IT department and grab 10 middle managers from there, create a cohort and give them these micro learnings and have them practice. But the
Mm,
cohort is so critically important because I know myself when I was an executive leader and
mhm.
I would bunk up against some of the HR policies and procedures or
Yeah.
say something like, what, no, this is the right thing to do.
Mm,
Especially, right, I was leading during COVID, right? So it's like if someone's sick or has an
yeah.
extenuating circumstance or something was going on with their family that was unusual, very often it was an ethical dilemma of how do we do the right thing and honor this person in this situation but not unintentionally cause like chaos or making people feel like, oh, we're being special to one group and not another, right?
Sure.
All of those things had to come into consideration that we're chewing through, and I was doing it by myself.
Oh
And
boy.
so
Yeah.
how phenomenal would it have been for me to organically, a couple of us kind of would meet and talk through it every now and then, maybe once a month, but that wasn't often enough. I mean, we as managers needed to be meeting literally on a weekly basis to say, here's the tough thing that I had to deal with. I had to give somebody some hard feedback, or,
Yeah.
I have to put somebody on a disciplinary plan, or I have to, whatever the case may be.
That's
And
hard. Yeah.
hearing from a peer about how they got through it, or they're in the same boat, and talking through that and then saying, oh, I tried that, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need. We're asking supervisors to do all of these things from a technical perspective and hit all of these deadlines. We're
Right.
giving them project work that they need to do too. And
Mhm.
oh, by the way, be empathetic and inclusive on top of that. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I don't know how. Like,
Yeah.
you've
Right.
got
You're
to
not
show
given any
me.
training on it, right? And the
Yes.
support system, what I'm hearing you say is so
Oh,
important.
it's critical. It's
Yeah.
critical because we're going to make mistakes, right? Back. Oh,
Yeah.
which now comes full circle to where we were at, right? The
Mhm.
blips and blops that we had in the beginning.
Right. The
How
learning
do
experiences,
It's
right?
learning experiences. So how do we get folks again from that fixed mindset to, oh, I made a mistake, I'll never try that again? That's
Yeah.
that's why I truly believe, my heart of hearts, that's why all these inclusive and diversity training and policies are falling flat, because managers will try it. If it doesn't work, they'll stop doing it. They're actually
Yeah.
going to revert back to the way things were. And now we've got this horrible death spiral that's going on. We have to switch folks from fixed mindset to growth mindset to say, you're going to try it and you're going to make a mistake, and that's okay, and this is how you recover, right? This
Yeah.
is how you learn. Growing
That's how
that,
you grow, by
it's how
going
you
through those
grow.
mistakes, those learning experiences
Right,
that
none
are
of
really
us
yeah.
learned how to ride a bike without falling off and skinning our knee at least once.
Oh my gosh, everyone I because you have to learn the balance. That's how you learn. You learn by falling, how to not
That's how
fall
you
again.
learn.
Exactly on there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Angel, this has been such a delightful conversation. I feel more empowered. Coming in, I was like looking at this interview. I was prepping last night. I'm like, I'm not even sure what I'm going to ask her. I like, that's a question. I'm going to ask her like, what is it? Because I think I know, but I don't really know. And I think we all walked away with some really great takeaways on there. Do you want to offer any final comments for us on the Agile mindset framework as we start to wrap up today?
Oh, the final comment that I just want to say to everyone is, find the most valuable thing that you can do for yourself and others today and every day.
That's great. Great feedback. Well, thank you so much, Angel. Great conversation here today. And as we start to wrap up, I'll remind our viewers, whether you're watching this in live or in playback, as soon as you're done watching the video, you're going to see a share icon at the bottom. And if you have not yet posted on LinkedIn this week, this month, heck, maybe yet this year, what you
Oh,
can do is click to share the video. And when you do so, tell tell the audience something that you gained or why they should watch the video, something that you learned perhaps in there. If you do share it along, we want to ask you for a favor, and that's please do tag us in the video. And to tag, you use that little @ sign. So the @ sign is the way that you do a tag. The pound sign is a hashtag. It's something a little bit different. But if you tag us using the @ sign and then type in our names, we will both get notified and we will both comment back on there. And hopefully we'll get some good share alongs of folks watching this. So thank you again, Angel. I'm delighted we have the conversation. I hope we get the chance to meet in person at some point. Maybe we'll be on the stage someplace together.
That
Who
would be
knows,
awesome.
right? I'll put that out there for the universe.
Let's do it.
That's great. Well, thank you again, Angel, for watching. It's been a delight, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And for everyone else, thank you for making the time to watch this today, whether you're watching in live or in playback. If you do have any comments or questions for Angel, please drop them into the comment section. I'll make sure that I share this along. With that said, stay safe and stay healthy. We look forward to seeing everyone on LinkedIn. Have a wonderful day. Take care.